to set up. And not only that, but there's just a lot. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot for us to cover. And I think we can have some fun with it. But honestly, this just strikes me as a nightmare. So we're going to try our best, and we're going to try and get through this. And we're going to have a look at all of the superstars on the WWE rosters, the Raw and SmackDown roster. I even chucked in a couple of NXT talents. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just move them to Raw or SmackDown. I don't quite know if this is my predictions. I don't quite know if I think this is what they're going to do. Honestly, I didn't want to overthink it. So I thought what we would do is we would start and we'll just go through everyone and, just try to make the most sense out of things. So, yes, let's attack this because we've got over 8. It doesn't look like it, but there's probably around 100 images below my face right now. So, there's a lot that are hidden underneath all of the ones that you can see as well. This is what I'm saying. This is a nightmare, right? I'm having a nightmare. You are watching a man having a breakdown right now. So, let's get straight to it, shall we? So, the first thing that I want Drew, who's hidden under here. And I'm going to move him over to SmackDown, right? I'm going to move Drew over to SmackDown. Reason why I'm doing this is because he feels a little bit directionless over on Raw. He's kind of done everything that he can do, and I think a lot of us are expecting for him to be on a collision course with Shaboy, the Tribal Chief. So we've got Roman as well. Now, I can see these two feuding for a while. I can definitely see Roman and Drew going at it as we build towards next year's WrestleMania. So Roman and Drew, I'm quite happy with that setup. The other person that I want to move over there is I want to move over Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley also feels like someone that I think is a little bit directionless. I kind of feel that Bobby Lashley is also someone, if I can find him. I can't quite find his image at the moment. But I do feel like Bobby Lashley is definitely someone that could be on the move. Rather than, we'll get to him. When we get to him, we'll get to him. So as soon as I find Bobby Lashley, then we'll switch Bobby Lashley over to SmackDown as well. Right, I've said for the longest time that I think Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart are Raw superstars because they come out in a tank. And I really do think that, they would fit kind of nicely over on Raw. So Shotzi and Tegan, they can go over to Raw. I don't think they'll move Riddle at the moment. I think Riddle might as well keep him over on Raw as well. I think RK Bro is doing really, really well. I think they're really into RK Bro. I think if they were going to move RK Bro, then They might look to split them up, maybe move Orton over, but I don't see it, to be honest. I really, really don't see them doing that. So I'll say that RK Bro are going to be staying where they are. As soon as we find Randy, then we will deal with moving him as well. Bayley is an interesting one because Bayley is someone that's on SmackDown, but I think could probably do with the change when she returns. So I'm going to say that Bayley actually does move over to Raw. I could see Bayley being drafted over to Raw. So go with that. Slapjack's an interesting one because he doesn't exist anymore. They've actually changed him over to, he's got like, Shane Thorne is his name, and he's got this kind of Outback Jack, kind of crocodile hunter vibe going on now. So Slapjack is no more. Slapjack is gone. So, they might just fill out the rosters with some of those kind of superstars that aren't really being used all that much. But we could actually delete Slapjack. Slapjack ain't going anywhere. He's gone. End of the road. Right, Riddick Moss. There's Riddick Moss. Riddick Moss, he is with Baron Corbin at the moment. So I'm going to say that he is going to go over to Raw because I think Baron Corbin could be going over to Raw. So let's pop him over there. Shelton Benjamin is with Bobby in the Hurt Business. I don't see the point in bringing the Hurt Business back together just to split them up. So might as well pop him over there. If we could find Cedric Alexander, then I would move him as well. There he is. So Cedric Alexander, I'm going to say that he moves over to SmackDown also. We have got... I didn't keep these separate. I kept them together. The Raw Women's Champions, Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley. I'm going to say that they are. I mean, Nikki Cross is one of the most Raw superstars I've ever seen in my life. So if they are going to keep them together, I've got to think they're going to keep them over on Raw. Because that almost a superhero thing, I think is a Raw gimmick. Same with R-Truth. I think R-Truth and the whole 24/7 championship, I think he is also going over to Raw, or he'll stay on Raw. And same with Reginald. Reginald can go over to Raw as well. So pop him over there. Otis. I really like Otis. You know. I got a lot of love for Otis. I really like him as a solo star. I don't know if they do need tag teams. So I think there's a good chance that they keep Otis and Chad Gable together. He's a big guy. I think that he probably could do with a change, though. I'm going to move Otis over here. The reason why I think Otis could do with a change is because he's quite a big guy. And if we are going to put Bobby Lashley and keep Brock and have Roman and Drew and everyone over on SmackDown, that's a lot of star power. That is a lot of big guys. And I do kind of worry that means that Otis is just going to be a little bit lost in the shuffle. So I think for him to stand out, it probably does make sense for us to move him over to that side. We've got Robert Roode, the Dirty Dogs. I mean, honestly, they're just fodder, aren't they, really? I don't mean to be disrespectful, but he can go over here. So we'll keep him on SmackDown. Don't really see a reason or a need to move him. Nia Jax. Did we decide what to do with Nia Jax? Nia Jax, I think when she comes back, she could probably do something over on SmackDown. She doesn't have to be on Raw. She could go over to SmackDown. She's quite big and quite eye-catching. So I think she could do a job over on SmackDown. Tamina has been with Natalya. I honestly don't even know what brand they're on, to be honest. When I'm thinking about these women, I've got no idea what brand they're on. So, let's move them out of the way. Let's pop them over on Raw. Raw can always take more superstars, because obviously it's 3 hours, so it's going to be the bigger roster. So we'll move her over there. Shayna, we're gonna keep on. Will we keep her over on Raw? Will we keep her on Raw? She has been with Nia, but they've obviously split up now. So I'm thinking that they might split them apart and keep them on different paths. Otherwise, they just run the risk of kind of bumping into each other a lot. So yeah, let's keep Shayna over on Raw. We'll keep Shayna over here. I'm having to make these pictures so small because there's so many superstars that, as we said, we're having to keep the images quite small. Next, we've got Natalya. Natalya, as we said, very much with Tamina. She can go over there. Lovely. Seth. Now, Seth's interesting. Seth's really interesting because wherever we put Seth, that's where we've got to put Becky. So, Seth Rollins, he can go over... a lot of people will want him on SmackDown because they'll want him to be a future Roman opponent. But it's difficult because we've got Bobby, we've got Drew, we've obviously got Hurt Business over there. Brock will be over on SmackDown when I get to him. So, yeah, I kind of think that Seth will... I think they'll move him. I think they'll move him over onto Raw. So we'll put Seth over there. Next up, we've got Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio and Dominic. I think Rey is quite eye-catching. He's doing all right on SmackDown with Dominic. But let's move him. I think we've moved a couple of big people we've had some big people go to SmackDown, so we'll move some big people over to Raw. And I think, Rey Mysterio is absolutely that. Right, Nakamura. Let's carry this on. Let's move Nakamura over here. Nakamura, the Intercontinental Championship, going over to Raw. So we'll move the Intercontinental Championship over there. That means that we're going to need to move the United States Championship over to SmackDown. And that's Damien Priest, isn't it? So that means that we're going to be moving Damien Priest once we get to him. Sasha Banks. I think Sasha could go over here to Raw because she can be with Bayley. That gives us Sasha, Bayley, and Shayna. Right, let's pop that there. As soon as we do a few more, then we'll jump into the chat and see what the chat are thinking. There is Chad Gable. There's Chad Gable. So Chad Gable is going over to Raw so that he can be with Otis. A lot of these, there's no reason or rhyme, to be honest. I mean, as I've just said, like Otis, I think he's a big guy, and I think you don't want him to get kind of in the way of other big guys. I think part of the problem with Otis is that Otis is someone that really needs to stand out. They're kind of investing in him. They've given him a nice little push, but he's a little bit smaller, and kind of when you're around Brock, when you're around like some of these taller guys, you can get a little bit lost. So I kind of feel that moving him over to Raw, having people like Seth, Riddle, Rey Mysterio, like he's not going to look out of place over there. And it kind of means we can move some of the giants over to SmackDown. And that's surely going to make Fox happy if we do that. So kind of makes sense. Right, we've got Street Profits. I think Street Profits will probably stay where they are because I'm not expecting Bianca to move. So Street Profits can stay over on SmackDown. So when we find Angelo Dawkins, when we find Montez Ford, then we can move him over. I'm just having a look to see. No. I have got like names written down at the bottom, but for whatever reason, some of them... there's Charlotte. Some of them are unnamed. So, right, Charlotte, she is the Raw Women's Champion. So, could she lose that title soon? We have got, heel-wise, we have got... do you know what? I'm going to be really brave. I'm going to be really big and brave. I'm going to have Charlotte staying on Raw, Sasha, Bayley, and because Seth has moved over, I'm going to have the 4 horsewomen all on one brand. I'm going to go for the 4 horsewomen all on the same brand. Look at this. That means that Becky will drop that title soon. I don't know who she's going to drop it to, but she will drop that title soon. Now, I understand people could look at this and go, no, there's no way. There's no way that would happen, right? I totally get that. But you got to remember, Bayley is actually out of the picture for a while. Bayley's out of the picture, so that leaves us Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. And also you've got Shayna, who we don't quite know what's happening with Shayna. I kind of think that if you've got Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, that is great firepower. But if they're all heel, because amazingly, all 4 horsewomen are heel at the moment, that would mean that by the time Bayley's coming back next year, you could do some really interesting stuff. But Bayley won't be back for a while. So that means that Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, they can kind of, run Raw. I would be down for seeing that. I really would be down for seeing that. So, yeah, I'm kind of into that idea. Let's take a moment just to jump into the chat, say hello to everyone that's in there. She's going to hold it. Daisy's going crazy. I told you I was going crazy, guys. I told you I was going crazy. I've put all 4 horsewomen together, and do you know what? I don't even care. I don't even care right now, because I would go that way. I really would. I would go that way. I think putting all 4 horsewomen together kind of would allow you to tell some really interesting stories next year. I I think if you used to put all the 4 horsewomen together, then you could really build up like a faction to kind of go up against them. And I think that would be really interesting. Has Shinsuke been on Raw before? That's a good question. I think he has. Kate, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Liv and Zelina said, I think Shayna will go to SmackDown. Wrestle with Andy said, Braun Breaker for the number 1 pick. Becky needs to be on SmackDown. Why does she need to be on SmackDown? Because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. She can drop it. We've seen it before whereby championships and people change brands. I actually really like, I mean, you are literally watching me just like doing this step by step. I actually really like the idea of swapping Damien Priest with Shinsuke. I think Shinsuke with his crown and Rick Boogs and all of that kind of stuff kind of lends itself to Raw to me. I always see Raw as being like the sports entertainment brand, and SmackDown being more the kind of more athletic show, kind of being the more sports-based show. So, I like the idea of like Damian Priest, and we're talking about SmackDown having like the bigger guys, the bigger people. Kind of like the idea that SmackDown has Damien Priest and has Bobby Lashley, and it's got Roman, and it's got Drew, and it's got some of those bigger guys, kind of moving them over to SmackDown, and kind of some more of the gimmick stuff going over to Raw. Let's carry on anyway, and see where we get to. So Ricochet, I actually think Ricochet, I don't even know what brand is on, but I'm going to move him over here. Talking about SmackDown being kind of like the sporty brand. I would move Ricochet over here. It is the brand that I'm putting a lot of the bigger guys onto, but I think you could do some stuff with Ricochet, certainly around that mid-card title. I don't know that they'll ever pull the trigger on Ricochet and have him go after the big championship, go after like the big world title. I think he had one shot against Brock, but I can't see that happening again for a long time, to be honest, if ever. So, for this draft, we'll move him over to SmackDown. I'm just going to pick some at random now. Jeff Hardy? Wow, that's not a bad pick at random, is it? People really want Jeff Hardy to be some sort of champion. I think SmackDown's not the place for him. I'm going to keep him on Raw. I think that he could go to either brand. No problem with him going to Raw or to SmackDown. But I think if he goes to SmackDown, how is he going to get past Roman? Like, he's not. How is he going to get past Brock? How is he going to get past Drew? He won't. So he could be around the mid-card title over on SmackDown, but I would keep him on Raw. I think he's got a much better chance. I'm liking this just randomly picking. Let's go randomly again. Random selection. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work at all. It's Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke has been randomly selected. So, again, she can just kind of fill out Raw a little bit. I don't even know what they're doing with Dana Brooke anymore. Just never see her. So, she can live over there. Liv Morgan, I think they're pulling the trigger on Liv. I think they're doing stuff with Liv Morgan. I'm going to put her onto SmackDown. And I think you could do some really, really good stuff with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, I think, Queen of the Ring, Royal Rumble, things along those lines. I'd look to get the spotlight on her a little bit more. And honestly, by moving Bayley, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte out the way, that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving a big spotlight to whoever now is on the SmackDown women's roster. So I kind of like that for Liv. I've high hopes for you, Liv. Liv, if you're watching, don't let me down. Right, next we've got Toni Storm. Again, let's do something interesting. Let's have Toni Storm. Let's start using her. Have her be a key part of that SmackDown women's division. I hate the fact that she's just sat in catering. Hate it. She deserves so much better. So, Toni Storm, I'm going to invest a little bit in Toni Storm. Right, Dakota Kai. I think there's a good chance she gets called up. Dakota Kai to SmackDown. There we go. So, Dakota Kai going over to SmackDown. Now, oh, there he is. Bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Yes, there he is. Look, Brock Lesnar, the Beast. I don't see him going anywhere other than SmackDown, to be honest. I don't see him going anywhere other than SmackDown. I think he's on a collision course with Roman. I could see them doing a rematch against Drew. I know there's loads of people that want Brock and Bobby. I would be giving you all of that. I would be giving you all of it. Asuka, I'm going to move her over to SmackDown. I think she can do the fun stuff, but I kind of think we need a bit of experience over on SmackDown, looking at how this has gone. So, going to move her over there. Don't know how long her injury is for, to be honest, but I've shipped her over there. There he is. There he is. I was trying to find him for ages. There is Bob's. There's Bob's. Bob's Lash. So, there we go. We've got the Hurt Business. So, what that means now is we've got Hurt Business, and that means that the Usos, when I actually get to the Usos, we will obviously keep them with Roman. That is now actually allowing us to do Hurt Business versus Bloodline. We've got the Street Profits over there. If they could get someone else, then that would allow us to do... obviously, Big E is going to be on Raw. I'm thinking that we're going to keep New Day with Big E, because it seems to be a big part of his... I would love to get New Day over to SmackDown. I would love to get... Imagine if you had Bloodline, Hurt Business, and New Day. I would love that. But you could sort of do something with the Street Profits. I kind of think like you could add a third member to the Street Profits, and that would be really interesting. A third member in the Street Profits. Then you've got Bloodline, you've got Hurt Business, you've got Street Profits, and you've got a little bit of a faction thing going on. So you've got that. You've got loads of room in the women's division for new stars to come through, because we've got the 4 horsewomen out of the way. You've got Bobby, you've got Roman, you got Drew, you got Brock. Damien Priest, as we said, is going to be in that mid-card, because we've moved Shinsuke over to Raw. I'm loving this. I'm right behind this. Let's have a look. What we got next? We've got the Viking Raiders. We're going to have to put the Viking Raiders over here, I think. Viking Raiders, they can hang out with Otis and Chad and the New Day. I don't know. I wish there was like some of these together. Ah, Bearcat. What do we do with the Bearcat? Where does Bearcat go? Where does Bearcat go? Same argument that I had for Otis. You can't put him with the Giants because he'll get a little lost. So Bearcat is going to be one of my big players over on Raw. So Bearcat Keith Lee, he's going to go and stay on Raw. Owens, what do we do with Owens? Let's get him away. Let's get him away from the big hitters, because again, he runs the risk of being overshadowed. So I'm going to move Owens over onto Raw as well. Just get him out of the way of Brock. Get him out of the way of Roman. Get him out of the way of Drew. Get him out of the way of Bobby. Just get him out of the way. There's matches that we can do over on Raw with him, but get him out of the way of some of those big hitters. Next up, we've got who cares? I mean, that honestly, who cares? They can just fill out the roster. Lucha House Party, not bothered. Not bothered party. So they can just go over here to fill this roster out. Raw is always going to have more superstars. Normally how they do it is you get 3 picks for Raw. You get 1 pick, 3 pick for Raw, 2 pick for SmackDown. So you're always going to end up with more people over there. Again, get him out of the way. Get him out of the way of I know people want to see him against Roman, him against, but it's a bit too soon. So I would keep him over on Raw, to be honest. Keep him on Raw. Keep him out the way of Roman. Keep him out the way of Drew. Keep him out the way of Bobby. Keep him out the way of Brock. And just have him over on Raw. What I think you've got is you're starting to get, no one there that I'm looking at is really standing out on Raw. I'm looking at Raw, and it just looks like who is going to become champion out of those. And obviously, we've got more to go. But who is going to become champion? I mean, honestly, you could even make a little argument. If the crowd are still as loudly for him, you could even make an argument of doing that, and having Jeff up there as well. And I'm really looking at that now, going, we could be looking at one of those guys being the WWE champion. I really quite like that. I really quite like that, because Brock's not going to be around all the time. Bobby, Drew, and Roman, it's just going to be an ongoing war for a long time. I'm kind of into that. And then that just means that they're totally out the way for, people to kind of really stake their claim over on Raw. This draft could be really... They need to look after Kevin Owens, because when his contract's up, you've got to think he's AEW bound. They need to look after Bearcat, because he's been out injured for a long time with illness. So now he can get some momentum. They need to look after Carrion, because they've got a big future star in Carrion. So, I'm kind of looking at that and liking what I see. Sheamus! Fella! Sheamus, now where's Sheamus gonna go? I kind of think he's solid, isn't it? Sheamus is just good, solid worker. Let's move him over onto SmackDown. Good, solid worker. Put him in around here. Obviously, we've already seen him and Drew, so there's not much of an appetite for that. But Sheamus and Brock could be really interesting. Sheamus and Brock, going at it. I'd be down for seeing that. Sheamus and Brock. Keep him around the mid-card picture for a little bit. And then do Sheamus versus Brock at some point. Here's Big E. Big E, baby. Let's move a few of these out of the way so that we can go big on the champ. There's the champ. Big E over on Raw. So we've got Big E over there, and there's Seth. Boom. Right, half past. Let's jump into the chat, see what people are saying. Roman will beat Brock. I know. I believe it, says Robert. That would be a good match. I never thought about that, says J14. Yeah, it's a weird one, because whenever you think of Brock, you always think about putting him against a younger talent, but putting him up against Sheamus doesn't really come to mind. But I kind of think you could do something really interesting there. It's just a really good, entertaining match. Don't think you need to do a feud, but you could definitely do a really good, really solid entertaining match between those two. And he's legit as well. So I really like the fact that you move him over to SmackDown, and he's just legit. It's just a badass, isn't he? Bobby and Brock would be good, says Jacob. I'm sure we're gonna get that. I mean, that'd be tasty, wouldn't it? Move Erik over to Raw. Let's have a look. So where is he? Oh, there he is. There we go. Viking Raiders over on Raw. Yeah, for some reason, he was staring me in the face and I couldn't see him, so good spot. Right, let's carry on our way, shall we? What have we got over here? We've got Elias. Now, we don't know what Elias is going to be, do we? We don't know what he's going to become. But Elias is no more. There's a new Elias that's on the way, but we just don't know quite what he's gonna be. So it's hard to know where to move him because we don't know what he is. So I am going to... What am I going to do with him? I'm going to keep him on Raw. I don't know what to expect. And if I don't know what to expect, I can't say that it would fit on SmackDown. So I'm going to keep him on Raw, and we'll see what we get. I really want Damien Priest. I need Damien Priest because I need to move Damien Priest over to... there's Apollo. Apollo, God, there's a lot of just waffle, isn't there? I don't know if you feel the same way as me, but like I'm looking at Apollo here and I'm like, oh God, I'm just not excited. I'm just not excited by him. So, where would Apollo go? I think he needs a gimmick change. That's what he needs. He needs to change gimmick. And maybe he could stand out a little better over on Raw. So we'll put Apollo over here. Not feeling brilliant about that mid card, to be honest. But in all fairness, you can use some of the people from like the main event scene that can drop down to the mid card. We have got Happy Corbin that's going to be over on there he is, Happy Corbin, and I needed him. Austin's favourite. Pop him over onto Raw because Riddick Moss and Corbin seem to be doing some stuff together. So I'm kind of down for those being over on Raw, seeing what they can get up to. They could certainly cause a nuisance of themselves. And I think there's every chance as well that we get Happy Corbin and Big E. Alexa, what are you going to come back as? Apparently she's away because of sinus problems. She's having sinus surgery. So what is she going to come back as? I think that she's leaving her Funhouse thing behind. And do you know what? I think that she's going to come back, and hopefully she's going to come back as the goddess. And let's give her a spotlight to shine. Look at that. Just over there on SmackDown, working. Imagine if she comes back as the goddess and she's having matches with Liv and having matches with Toni Storm, and like you could do some really good matches. Plus also does feel like SmackDown needs to have a bit more experience over there, because obviously we did that. It was controversial. I will admit it. We moved all 4 horsewomen over onto Raw. It was a big controversial moment. There was a lot of heartache in the chat. Hopefully we are past that now, but I am now putting a bit more experience over to the SmackDown side with Asuka. Obviously Nia's over there anyway, but we've moved Alexa. Zelina I'm not too sure about yet. Let's see. Let's try and space out some of these. Look, we've got loads. Finn Balor. What do we do with Finn? You know what? Let's move him over here. Let's move him over here and put him in with this group. This group of guys that are just like really trying to stake their claim. I really like that. Look at that main event scene. Owens, Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, Balor, Seth, Jeff Hardy getting a bit of a push. Rey Mysterio, who you could probably break away from his son. I don't think they would, but it would be good if they did. So, I kind of like that. Right, Eva Marie, I'm going to keep her over on SmackDown. Going to keep her over here because she's just a bit out of the way, isn't she? She's kind of very Raw. Actually, is she on Raw or SmackDown at the moment? I can't remember. But, you could just keep her over there. She could just be a jobber for, like, people to beat. She can just be a jobber. Right, let's have a look. We've got Edge now. Now. Edge is interesting because Edge has obviously feuded with Roman. Has he been involved with Sheamus? I don't think, would you go in with a feud with Sheamus? Brock? Bobby? It's interesting. Or do you put him over and have him on Raw? I mean, like, I don't know how long he's out for, so kind of feel like they're probably going to want him over on SmackDown, aren't they? They're probably going to want that star power. So maybe keep him over there. Let's have a look, see what we've got. There's Doudrop. I think you could do something with Doudrop. Split her apart from Eva now. Don't think they need to be on the same brand. So Doudrop could be over here. I mean, what we do need, actually, we haven't really spoke about this, is we do need some faces to kind of take on this axis of evil. So Doudrop could be one of those people. Rhea Ripley and Nikki could be those people. You could do something with Shotzi, maybe Tegan Nox. They could be some of the faces that kind of take on the 4 horsewomen eventually. So, Doudrop, I think, keep her on Raw. As we said, Eva Marie, for me, just a jobber. Literally just there to put people over now. So, she can just go over there. There's Dominic. Dominic's an interesting one, because are they going to split him apart from Rey? I don't think Rey will allow it, to be honest. I don't think Rey will allow it. So, I'm going to have to move him over here. So, Dominic goes over, but to be honest, I really would like them to separate them now. Have Rey doing his own thing and working with this main event scene, and have Dominic kind of down in the mid-card going after, like, the mid-card title. I would go that way very much so. There's Damien Priest. Damien Priest moves over, so we actually get the old switcheroo, don't we? We get the old switcheroo. We get Damien Priest. Imagine Damien Priest versus Edge. Damien Priest versus Edge. Tasty. What I'm going to do is move Bobby down there. I'm going to move Ricochet up, because I'd love to see Ricochet in that main event scene, and Bobby Roode, I just don't care. So, Damien Priest with that mid-card title on SmackDown. So, we've got the US title over on SmackDown. We've got the Intercontinental title over on Raw. Sheamus. Cesaro. My God, look at all these. There's Bianca. Bianca's definitely staying over here. Bianca definitely staying over on SmackDown. Oh, and there's Commander Aziz. Commander Aziz has got to go where Apollo goes, so he has to go there. Austin Theory. Austin Theory. I love Austin Theory. I think you could do some stuff with Austin Theory on SmackDown. I'd love it if The Way came up, but let's have Austin Theory. Look at that. That could be really, really fun. That could be really fun. Right, Cesaro. I'm going to move Cesaro here because I'm looking at this kind of mid-card scene. It's really lacking a little bit. Like, I'm looking at Apollo and Elias, and I don't really think that R-Truth and Reginald need to be on that level. But we do have Happy Corbin. Let's move. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll move these over here. So, right, okay. Feeling it. Cesaro in that mid-card scene. Would like some new matchups over there, though. I would like to do something quite interesting over. I feel like I need something over here. Could it be this guy? LA Knight. Could LA Knight be the injection of intrigue that mid-card needs? You know, you could inject a little bit of LA Knight and his promos into that mid-card, and all of a sudden it starts to feel a little bit fresh. All of a sudden, we're looking quite good. And actually, do you know what? Completely inadvertently, how about if R-Truth and Simpanor become a tag team? What if they put them into a tag team down there? I'm just seeing them next to each other, and I'm like, you could probably do something little comedy tag team with Reginald and Simpanor. I actually wouldn't mind that. I actually wouldn't hate that at all. That could be all right. So, yeah, I'm into this. Do you know what? I said this was a nightmare. It's actually turned out to be absolutely brilliant. It's actually turned out to be, like, so much fun. I'm having a great time. Right, let's have a look. Sammy. Oh, there's Xavier. So Xavier can obviously go over here so that he goes next to Kofi. In a few minutes, we'll jump in, see what the chat is thinking, where the chat thinks that people can go. There's the Usos. Usos can go up there next to Roman. We got the Bloodline. Bloodline are united. Sammy is an interesting one, isn't he? He is an interesting one. Kind of feel like Akira Tozawa is just fodder, really, to go on over on Raw. So we've got Akira Tozawa over there. Sammy, what do we do with you? What do we do with you, Sammy? Where does Sami Zayn go? I think I'm going to put him onto SmackDown. I'm kind of looking at SmackDown. I'm looking at that mid-card. I'm just like, Sammy and Austin Theory could be fun. Sammy and Damien Priest could be fun. Sammy and Edge. Sammy and Ricochet. I kind of like Sammy over there. It's a bit of a shame because I would like Sammy to be actually one of these options up here. One of the people. I just don't think that Vince sees Sammy. I think Vince sees Kevin as money because he keeps giving him title shots and main event shots. So I think he sees something in Kevin. Bearcat, I think he definitely sees something because of his size. Seth obviously is a star. Finn's a star. Ray's a star. Jeff's a star. How can he not see anything in Carrion? He's a star. But I don't think he feels that way about Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn is mid-card, to be honest. Now, you could move him over to the mid-card on Raw, but I just think I really like the idea of Sammy and Austin. I like the idea of Sammy and Damien Priest. Even Sammy and Edge, if we were to go that way, you could definitely do that. Sammy and Edge little feud. Sammy and Ricochet. So I'm into that. I'm into that. AJ Styles. What do we do with AJ Styles? There's another curveball. Ember Moon. Does Ember Moon really need to be down in this new NXT that's so focused on being developmental? I'm going to say she doesn't. And you could put her over there, or you could actually move her. Ember, I think Ember should definitely come up. She should definitely come up. But maybe you put her over here, actually, and make her like one of the big faces over on Raw. Ember. Ember's a curveball, man. Ember's a curveball. Kind of into that. You can do some fun stuff there with Ember over there. Ember, Rhea, Nikki, Shotzi. How about that? Ember, Rhea, Nikki, and Shotzi taking on the 4 horsewomen. And what do you do with Shayna? Shayna's kind of just a badass that's out for her own. And what do you do with Doudrop now that she's away from Eva? I kind of think there's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of stuff. And you could do tag teams. You know, you could put Charlotte and Becky together in a tag team if you wanted and use them that way. And Bayley, we know, is out the picture for a little while. I really like that women's division. Naomi, I think, needs to go over here because of the bloodline. And I think a lot of us would like to see her join the bloodline and be a part of that. So I'm going to have Naomi over there. Yeah, AJ and Amos. I know I said I'd jump to the chat again. I keep trying to jump into the chat every 10, 15 minutes. I will jump into the chat, but I need to know, what do we do with AJ and Amos? What do we do with AJ and Amos? Do we keep them together? Do we split them apart? What do we do with AJ and Amos? If you split them apart, I feel like Amos is just going to struggle. I just don't think Amos is ready. I think as well, this mid-card I think we have to move him over here. Because I think the tag division, I think, would benefit from having them. But also, I think that Amos is still not ready to go out on his own. I love the idea of AJ coming over here and being involved in this kind of what's going on here. But looking at it, I think that AJ could do some stuff on his own with these guys. I think together they can be a tag team when needed. Amos could end up having matches over here as well. Amos definitely gives you options. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll stick with that. I feel like we want to do. I want to do one more. I want to do a tasty one though. I don't know what tasty ones we've got left, to be honest. I think we've covered quite a few. Is this all we've got left? Is that all we've got left? I thought there was loads left. Are we just literally dealing with the dregs? Is that all we've got? Carmella. What have we got? Humberto. You could probably have Humberto over here, actually. Humberto over here showing off his skills. That would be cool. There must be more. There must be more because we haven't got Montez Ford. So I don't know where Montez. I think I've lost Montez Ford. Let me search for Montez Ford. We'll call Montez Ford up. I mean, not on the phone or anything. Let's go to WWE roster and get the image from there. Yeah, it's going all right at the moment. I'm quite happy with how everything's playing out. I'm just having a little look down to see if there's any super obvious people that are standing out. To be honest, there isn't. I mean, I'm going down here and I'm like, yeah, we've got all of these. Got all of these. Damien Priest, we got that. Yeah. Yep. EO, I don't know that EO's coming up because she is still a women's tag champ down in NXT. Boom. Let me just grab Montez Ford, and then I can put him next to Angelo Dawkins, and then I'll jump into the chat. Go to pictures, go to superstars, go down to Montez Ford's. There he is. Man, they could do some stuff with him as well. I mean, I don't know at what point they'll take him solo, but they are going to need to take him solo at some point. He's just too good. We've got a real lack of tag teams as well, actually, looking at this. So I think we can definitely move Dolph over so that you've got the Dirty Dogs, who are quite uninspiring. We could definitely move T-Bar and Mace over. We might have to end up making some new tag teams as well out of people that are around. There we go. So we've got them there. Yeah, amazingly, we are kind of getting down to the final stages. I didn't bother grabbing Veer and Shanky, to be honest. I kind of feel like wherever Jinder's going, they're going. So we are approaching the final part of this. I do feel like a lot of these are probably going to have to go over to SmackDown. Is it just me, or does this feel really light? Doesn't feel like there's that many people here at all. I feel like there's about 1 million people that are missing. But I am going down the rosters, and it's like, yeah, this is correct. This is everyone. Randy. I haven't seen Randy. He needs to go next to Riddle. It'd be good if they called Samoa Joe up, but that won't happen. Yeah. There's no one that is jumping out at me when I'm looking at the roster page. Let me grab Randy. I know why Randy was missing. It's because I did have RK Bro. And I was debating, will they split them up? Will they separate them? So I actually deleted RK Bro. And then I managed to grab Riddle on his own, but I never grabbed Randy. So let me see if I can find Randy. And then jump into the chat. Randy is proving very elusive. He is a Viper. Got to be careful because he might hit me with an RKO when I'm not expecting it. There he is. That gives us a little bit of... I mean, Randy going over to SmackDown would be good, but there we go. Let's pop him there next to Riddle. Boom. Right, let's jump over to the chat, see what people are saying. Alexa Bliss will be the next SmackDown Women's Champion. Morrison would make sense going to the SmackDown mid-card. Morrison going to the SmackDown mid-card. I actually really like that idea. I agree. Moldy Spoon? I agree. Shout out to you. That would be good, actually. That would be good. Yeah, he's got some good matches then that he could have over there. Him and Sammy, him and Edge maybe again, him and Ricochet, him and Humberto. Don't forget as well, like, some of these people appear. I mean, like, you've got Shelton, you've got Cedric. There's nothing stopping Cedric being a mid-card champion. Kind of, I don't know about you, but I do. There are a lot of people here, but I just dismiss some because I'm like, well, you know, they're just with Bobby. But of course, you can use them for stuff, so they're not just with Bobby. And then, like, over here, you've got Commander Aziz. We could actually do something with Commander Aziz. I mean, he's a big guy, We could actually pull the trigger on Commander Aziz. We could end up getting Apollo versus Commander Aziz at some point. If this gimmick just continues to not really work, we could pull the trigger on that. I tell you, that mid card on Raw made a lot more sense as soon as we injected LA Knight. As soon as we put LA Knight into there, I was like, yes, that works. That works. I really like putting LA Knight in there. In fact, looking at what we're dealing with and what we're playing with, I think this really, really works when you inject just a little bit, not much, but just a little bit of NXT talent. Not loads, but I really like LA Knight coming in. I really like Austin Theory. I really like Dakota Kai. And the more I'm looking at this, we've got a problem. Will they separate Keith and Mia? Because I really think that Mia Yim needs to go over here. I think Mia Yim has got enough real opportunity on this side of the bracket to go here, but there's no way they're separating them two, so she's going to have to go there. She's going to have to go there. That might be it for my women's division over there, to be honest. That might be it. And then so that would mean that Carmella comes over here as just, someone to some fodder. Zelina Vega over here. And in fairness, I don't know how much longer Lacey Evans is out for. Kind of feel like, I don't know when she's coming back. They might not even draft her. I'll get rid of her. She's gone. Boom. Gone. Right, we are down to... How many are we down to? 7, apparently. We've got 7 left. I must admit, this has took about 54 minutes. But it's gone a bit more smooth than what I was expecting. It's got a bit more smoother than what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be a real nightmare. There's a real chance a good chunk of these are going to have to go to SmackDown to fill this out. Because Raw's got quite a bit here. It's got quite a bit going on this. Whereas this one feels a bit empty. But you do have to remember, this is a 3-hour show. That's a 2-hour show. So it's right. It's probably, to me, it's looking about right at the moment. But definitely feel like SmackDown needs a little bit more. Bianca and Street Profits versus Naomi and Usos. Oh, CRU Blaze. That would be amazing. I didn't even think about that. Bianca and Street Profits versus Naomi and the Usos. Oh, I love it. Love it. Yeah. Do you know, actually doing this, I'm way more excited for this draft now. Way more excited. I wasn't that. I was kind of up for it, but it's one of those where you look at it and you go, oh, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to make this, all that interesting. But I think once you've moved people around and the dust settles and you actually take a step back and you look at it and you start doing things like that, you kind of go, yeah, that makes sense. Humberto and Garza could become a team. Let's do it. I'm into that. Let's have Humberto, Carrillo. Let's move there next to Garza. And we'll move him over. Done. Good shout. I like that. Harley said, an error. Seth is staying on SmackDown. They've teased Seth versus Roman so much for months. It was reported as an original match for SummerSlam. They won't let that go. That story and match swap with Edge. It's difficult because we're, as I said at the start, we're sort of juggling. We're juggling what will WWE do compared with what we want them to do, and there was a little tease with Seth and Roman. I would be down for that match, but I'm more into the 4 horsewomen being together. I'm standing by that. Because I think that you could do something. Once Bayley's back, we haven't seen, I don't know the last time we saw the 4 horsewomen. Normally the 4 horsewomen are all split between being faces and being heels, and split between brands, and just we've never been able to get them back together. I kind of feel like we've come to a point now where the women are. We've taken some big steps forward. And what I mean by that is, for the longest time, the women's division was just the 4 horsewomen. For the longest time, Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, that was the women's division, because you had others, and Alexa, and Carmella, and Naomi, and whatever, but they were always on the outside. Alexa maybe a little less so, but your Natalias, your Carmellas, your Naomis, your Dana Brooks, they were very much on the outsides. The focus, the spotlight, was Bayley, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte. And you can still make the argument that it still is, because as we're sat here right now, the 2 women's champions are Becky and Charlotte. So you can make that argument that they are still the focus. But there's no denying that this year in particular, we've taken a big step forward. And that big step forward was called Bianca Belair, and it was called Rhea Ripley. And those 2 have come in, and they are absolutely not playing second fiddle to the 4 horsewomen. And that now is just opened the door for a few more to come through. So, Liv Morgan, we're starting to see them doing some stuff with Liv Morgan. Obviously, Alexa's still around. She's going to be out for a little while. When she comes back, I expect her gimmick to be different. She actually sent a tweet out saying that, it was a quote from Einstein, saying that energy never disappears, it only ever changes. So I think she's sort of saying that she's not disappeared, she's not vanished or anything like this. She's going away for a while. When she comes back, she'll be different. Her energy will be different. That's kind of what I got from it. That, her energy doesn't just, disappear. It's constantly just changing. So I think that when she comes back, she will be different. So I'm really, really into Bayley, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, and then building up some faction to go up against them, and doing something along those lines. Now, that's just me. That's just me kind of playing fantasy booker. And just kind of looking at it going, man, just imagine how great that could make Raw. Just imagine how interesting. Think of the star power that's over on Raw. You're kind of making up. I don't want to say for a lack of star power with the guys, because there are names there. You can look at AJ, you can look at Finn and Randy and Seth, Ray and Jeff Hardy. Like, it's got names, it's got star power. But, man, that women's division more than holds its own when you've got all 4 of the horsewomen over there. So, I get your point. That they've teased doing Seth and Roman. I just wouldn't do it yet. I wouldn't do it. Personally, I would be quite... I think we've got enough here. Because you've got to think they're going to do Roman and Edge again at some point. I think at some point as well, Damien Priest... I'm starting to look at this now, because we're all wondering who's going to be the one to beat Roman. Could be Brock, could be Drew, could be Bobby, but it could be Damien Priest. I think Damien Priest is he's in a really good position now. He's in a really good position. He's been around for about 12 months. Don't actually know when he came up to the main roster. It might have been part of last year's draft. I'd have to double check. But I certainly remember him around at the Royal Rumble, because, of course, he ends up teaming with Bad Bunny. And we get Damien Priest and Bad Bunny teaming together. And that all started at the Royal Rumble. So I think, he's been around coming up for 12 months. Maybe a little bit less. He'll still obviously have a run with the United States Championship. But I think he's in a really good place. He's further along than Carrion. Carrion's not been around that long. I would argue he's further along than Bearcat Keith Lee, because he's been out for so much of the year. Finn Balor, I don't know where you go with Finn after that loss. I think what you have to do is just move him to Raw and just move him out the way. I think you would do that, because I'm not convinced that they're going to let Finn be the one. I'm not convinced. I think with this draft coming up, he could actually move over to Raw, and he could do some really, really interesting stuff over on Raw. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it as it is. As I said, this is maybe less a prediction, more a I hope it goes this way kind of a thing. But I'm definitely open for suggestions. Bayley could end up winning the Raw Women's title. Let's go down. Call up Aaliyah and Scarlett. Aaliyah is an interesting one, isn't it? Because Aaliyah is someone that... I mean, what do you do with Aaliyah? She doesn't do anything for me. I don't think we need her. So, there's rumours that she is on the way, so I can definitely call her up. Guys, there's a live call-up right now, but I don't quite know where I'm putting her. But I can bring her in. There's Aaliyah. So, Aaliyah's been called up. I don't know what the flip you do with Aaliyah. Put her over there, because it feels a little bit lacking, maybe. But, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at Aaliyah and Zelina and Carmella and Liv. I wonder if those four actually could do something together. Those four are kind of all obsessed with their looks. So I'm kind of looking at Liv, Carmella, Zelina, and Aaliyah. And I'm wondering if you could make like a bratty kind of... That would be kind of cool, actually. I've gone from going, I don't know what to do with Aaliyah, to now looking at this going... Eva, Carmella, Zelina, and Aaliyah as like a high school bratty mean girls, bullying the locker room, bullying Bianca Belair, kind of a bullying Liv Morgan. Imagine that. Imagine like those four bullying Liv. That could be interesting. You could get something out of that, like a Mean Girls kind of a thing. I'm actually into that now. And what was the other one? Scarlett. Scarlett will hopefully come up. You are right, and then chuck her with Kinky. Chuck her with Kinky Cross. Where are you, Scarlett? There she is. Right, we'll get Scarlett, and we'll pop her over with. Kinky. Where is she? This folder is rammed full of pictures, as you can imagine. There she is. Right, there's Scarlett, so she can go. We'll put her up here. I mean, she might end up wrestling because she can wrestle. The only problem is if she is going to wrestle, it'd be better for her really to be on SmackDown. But there we go. I think for now she can just be the valet kind of manager kind of a thing. So yeah, I don't mind that. That's pretty cool. Let's jump back in. Chats are awesome. Chat's on fire. Where would you put Gable Stevson? Where would you put Gable Stevson? I would put him on SmackDown. I think they would want him. He's an Olympian, gold medalist, and obviously he's got a relationship with Brock. So yeah, I'd put him on SmackDown. I would swap Becky with Nia, and I would swap Edge with Seth. Yeah, my only reason, the real, like, I keep saying it, but the big reason why I just don't want to do it is I love the four horsewomen being together, and if you take Seth and Becky away from Raw, then you're breaking up the four horsewomen. So I'm kind of, I just don't want to do it for that reason. I just want to keep the four horsewomen together, and I'd be quite happy just moving Seth back. Not a problem with moving Seth back, but I just don't think he would go on his own without Becky. I think they've got too much say. They've got too much, they're too powerful. So like Vince wouldn't get away with like moving Seth over to SmackDown, and you could swap Edge and Seth. Edge and Seth you could swap over. I mean, if in an ideal world, I'd be quite happy doing that. Don't bother me in the slightest. Quite happy doing that. But that's no issue with that at all. And then that gives people the Seth Roman match they want, and all that kind of stuff. But they're not going to separate Seth and Becky. They won't put them onto separate brands. And so my problem then is, like, I'm breaking up the Four Horsewomen. I really like the idea of doing that story. I really like the idea of doing that story. But I like that as well. I really like that as well. I ain't got no issue with Seth being over there. Bop. Right, let's jump back. It's a good shout with AJ on Raw because he won't work Fridays because his son has got football. Last year, he requested Raw so that he could attend his son's football game. That's interesting. That's interesting. You're telling me that you're going to forget about that Sasha, Bianca, and Becky feud. Am I telling you that I'm going to forget about that? No. You could do a triple threat. I mean, you've got to remember that any kind of feud that's happening right now is at risk of being broken apart because we've got the draft coming up and anyone could go anywhere. Tag teams can be split apart. So this is kind of like the end of the season, if you will. So that feud, they could absolutely keep it going if they wanted to. But for me personally, I think that's a triple threat match. Be a great triple threat match. But I don't think that I need to keep it really going much longer than that. And then once the draft is done, I'm not saying that the Four Horsewomen would get on the same page straight away because Bayley's out until next year anyway. So, you know, there could be a little something where they're struggling to get onto the same side and then Bayley comes back next year after injury. She could be the missing piece of the puzzle that galvanizes them all together. I mean, the Four Horsewomen coming back together would be like the Shield reunited. Like, it would be a massive moment. It'd be a really cool moment of all four of them. Really just celebrate. Think about everything they've been through. All the injuries, Becky's pregnancy, being on different brands, being heels and faces at different times. I mean, I actually would be really interested to find out when was the last time that the Four Horsewomen were all together? When was the last time that they were, like, united and they were, like, a faction? We were desperately hoping that we were going to see them working together to take on the MMA Horsewomen. We were really hoping to see that. And actually, what would be amazing, and they won't do it, but it would be amazing, is what if Sasha, Becky, Charlotte start picking on Shayna? What if they start picking on Shayna and Shayna is over there on Raw, right? So Charlotte, Becky, Sasha start picking on Shayna. That galvanizes Shayna as a face. Because at the moment, we don't quite know what she is. I mean, she is turned on Eva. She's turned on Nia. But she's done it in a really brutal way. So you kind of look at her, and she's kind of like this badass that's on her own now. So what if like Sasha, Becky, Charlotte turn on Shayna Baszler, and then we bring in Marina Shafir, Jessamine Duke? I mean, honestly, this could next year lead to the Horsewomen, because I know they desperately want to get Ronda back in. They desperately want to get Ronda back in, and Ronda's had her kid now. She's just had her baby. So, you know, she's probably going to want to be, obviously, a mother for quite a while. But by the time we're getting around to, SummerSlam next year, I mean, I'm thinking longer term here. I'm not saying that this is going to happen next week, but we won't get another draft for another 12 months. So whatever you're doing now, you've got to be thinking about SummerSlam, and you've got to be kind of having that in mind. So I really like that as well. But I also like the idea of getting some women together to take the Four Horsewomen down. I like what you could do with that as well. Let's jump back here. The chat are coming up with some really interesting points. I really like that. Jessamine and Marina were released. They were, but they could get them back. Roderick Strong is Marina Shafir's husband, and he's still under contract in NXT. So I believe that they would still have a good relationship with Marina Shafir, because they've got her husband under contract. I know that Shane. Look, if Shayna Baszler was to turn around to Jessamine Duke and say, "Look, we've got an opportunity to do something here. You can come in and earn some money," they could get them back. No, I really don't think that would be a problem at all. Edward said Dominic to NXT. It's probably where he should go, but I don't think they would go that way, to be honest. Harley said, why haven't WWE released the draft pools yet? We don't know what superstars are going to get drafted tomorrow or Monday. It's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll do that maybe tomorrow on the actual day. Wrestling Andy said, I don't know if the Horsewomen have ever really been a televised faction. It's a good point. Yeah, I mean, they were together. I remember them being... I don't remember them, like, necessarily wrestling as a unit. But we've obviously seen them together a few times. At the end of Bayley and Sasha and Brooklyn, they were obviously all in the ring at the same time, throwing up the hand signal. We saw them at the Mae Young Classic when I think was it Shayna Baszler that was competing in the Mae Young Classic. I think it was when Shayna Baszler first came in, and Ronda and Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir were in the crowd cheering on Shayna Baszler. And Shayna Baszler was competing in the Mae Young Classic. And they had the WWE 4 Horsewomen there as well. And there's an image of, I think it's 3 of them staring at like 4 of them or something. Let me see if I can find that image. Because it's an image that a lot of you will have seen. Horsewomen WWE. It's an image that a lot of you will have seen, but some of you might not have seen. It's the one where they're backstage. Yeah, Mae Young Classic. It's actually 3. It's not a brilliant picture. Well, it's a good picture, but the image quality is not strong enough. Right, let's go with this. Sucks, really. I'll just show you what I'm looking at, because it's not really much point me making noises and not showing you what I'm looking at. This was one from like the Mae Young Classic. I don't know that this was ever shown on TV or what the dealio was with this. But it is a picture of them kind of in each other's faces, if you will. Again, no idea where this picture's saving. I've got so many folders that different pictures go into. It's a flipping nightmare. Save pictures. Could you be in there? No, thanks. Could you have got in there? No, you haven't got in there either. Let's jump over. We save it again. It's gone into there. Okay, found it. So, yeah, this is the 4 Horsewomen, face-to-face with the 4 Horsewomen. Mae Young Classic. As I said, not the sharpest of images. That's what I was looking at. Not the sharpest of images, but you've got Becky, Charlotte, and Bayley just outside the Mae Young Classic. I think this is at Full Sail. I think that's where they were. So, you got Becky, Charlotte, Bayley. I don't know where Sasha is at this point. She might have been out. I don't know where Sasha was. I don't know if she was out injured or something. Face to face with Marina Shafir, Jessamine Duke, and of course that's Ronda Rousey in the middle. That you've got to know they would love to get Ronda Rousey back, get Ronda back into WWE. She's had her kid, but even so, she ain't going to be coming back anytime soon. But they would love to get her back. And what with some really, really interesting stuff happening with Shayna Baszler. I think Ronda would be there for Shayna Baszler. I think Ronda and Shayna have got a really good relationship. Shayna, if I remember rightly, was on Ronda's Ultimate Fighter. When Ronda was one of the coaches on Ultimate Fighter for UFC, she met Shayna Baszler that way. I don't think she knew her before then. But that's like their relationship goes all the way back to UFC when she was coaching Shayna. And you could even get away with like bringing Ronda in and doing a little tag team thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if like they just, I don't know, Charlotte and Becky start ganging up on Shayna, and Shayna needs a partner. And like, honestly, if Shayna needs a partner, the number one name that I'd be thinking of would be Ronda Rousey. So that would be very, very interesting. We need to still finish this off. We need to still jump off and finish this bit. Volta could go to Raw. I would love Volta to get called up, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Evan said Wrestling Days has been drafted to WWE Kids magazine. Miz to SmackDown with Maurice. It would be nice for them to feud with Morrison and Frankie Monet. Well, hang on. Where is Morrison? Morrison's over there. It would be good to have Maurice come in all fairness. That could be fun. So, Maurice coming in could be fun. Miz is very raw, though, isn't he? With, like, Miz TV and everything. I don't know that... Plus, he's got shows on USA Network, so... Miz and Mrs., I think, is on the USA, so I don't think they're going to let him go. I actually think Miz will end up over here. Which actually won't be that bad, because it just gives a little bit more to that mid-card section. So, pop him over there. I think we could maybe do with Ali going over here. We could maybe do with Big Match Mansoor going over here as well. That gives us another tag team over here. So we've got another tag team for SmackDown. Really not loving this SmackDown tag team division at all. Jinder. What the flip do we do with Jinder? Jinder, I think we maybe put him on Raw. Just because I don't want him anywhere near Drew. And I think we keep Jinder on Raw. And Jaxson Ryker's really interesting, isn't he? I mean, Jaxson Ryker's got a great look. So Jaxson Ryker, I think, could go here and do some stuff on SmackDown. And then that leaves... Is that Drew Gulak? Drew Gulak. Upside down. Upside down Drew Gulak. Where do we put upside down Drew Gulak? I'm thinking we need to just pad this out with a bit of... But I mean, it feels like he goes here next to Akira Tozawa, to be honest. Just put him over here. I'm going to have a look, see if there's anyone else that like really jumps out at being called up. Just to see if there's anyone that kind of pads out the rosters. Let's have a look. See what we got. See if there's anyone that's been missed. Right, we got all the champs. All the champs. Raquel Gonzalez. There was talk about Hit Row coming up. I did hear rumours about them potentially coming up. But whilst Isaiah Swerve is North American, I'm going to say they won't do it. I'm just going to look at people that haven't got titles, to be honest. So, Andre Chase has only just started. There's a few NXT UK talents, but I can't really see anyone coming from NXT UK. Cameron Grimes? Cameron Grimes would be really cool. Cameron Grimes could be someone that they could do something with. I mean, yeah, Cameron Grimes could be very, very interesting. Let's call up Cameron Grimes. As I said, this is a bit of a mixture of things that we think could happen, but things that we would like to see. And I'd like to see Cameron Grimes coming up. He's fun, man. Cameron Grimes coming up, I think, would be a lot of fun. So we'll bring Cameron Grimes up. Who else have we got? I'm looking for fun, really. Electra Lopez. How you doing? How you doing? We've got Happy Corbin. I say swear. There's no one jumping out. As I'm going down these names. Cena, Jordan Devlin, Johnny Gargano. I don't think they'll pull the trigger on call. It'd be great if they did, but I don't know that they will. Because if they do, then they'll have to call up Candice LeRae. And she's pregnant at the moment. And if you did, then you're breaking up the way. I mean, I don't know. If you did, it would be a big move. I don't see it. Maurice is actually still under contract. She's still listed as a WWE Superstar, Maurice. Montez Ford, Natalia, Noam Dar, nope. Odyssey Jones. Oh, imagine if they just pull the trigger on Odyssey Jones. They just call him up. Imagine if they just call up Odyssey Jones. That would be great. But he's only been around for like a hot minute. Tommaso Ciampa's champion, so can't see him doing that. Roderick Strong is cruiserweight champion, so don't think I can see them doing that. Santos Escobar, Legado del Fantasma. Could they bring up Santos Escobar? I don't think Vince is going to be that bothered by the smaller guys. I kind of feel like if any of the guys get called up, then there's a chance that it will be someone like a Cameron Grimes. Because he's been around for a little while now. Yeah, let's jump back over to this. Let's grab Cameron Grimes to the moon. Where do we put him? I don't know where we put him. Cameron Grimes. Where are you? There you are. Cameron Grimes. He can go. He strikes me as a Raw superstar, but I'm just worried that Raw's got quite a bit, and I don't know that SmackDown's got all that much. So let's have a look. Let's see what the chat's saying. See if the chat thinks. Let me know, Cameron Grimes. If Cameron Grimes gets called up, is Cameron Grimes going to Raw? Because he feels like a Raw superstar. Or is he going to SmackDown? The thing with Cameron Grimes is he's a little bit... I mean, he's no more out there than Happy Corbin. And Happy Corbin has been on SmackDown. He's no more out there than King Corbin. And he was on SmackDown. He's no more out there than Rick Boogs. And he was on SmackDown. So it's really not out the realms of possibility that they put Cameron Grimes over here. Which would be really interesting to put him in with all of this... I'm looking at this thinking that SmackDown needs a little bit more there. But then you look at Raw and you think, yeah, he does fit in with Raw, to be honest. He does fit in with Raw. Let's have a look, see what people are saying. What would you do with Cameron Grimes? SmackDown. Raw, move Elias to SmackDown, says Classy Beck. SmackDown, Steve says Raw for sure. SmackDown says Shaquem. Brian said SmackDown. Oh, we're getting way too many SmackDowns here. SmackDown. I'm getting quite a few Raws, but SmackDown has won. SmackDown wins, and Cameron Grimes goes over to SmackDown. There we go. That's everyone that we've moved. I've gone down, had a little look at the rosters again, and... there's no one that's jumping out as being like, missing or anything. I feel like we need to make like one of the women big. I don't know what woman I should make big. I am gonna go with... It's hard to not go with Becky, really, to be honest. It's hard to not go with Becky. We'll have Becky. I mean, she is the SmackDown Women's Champ. Does mean that she needs to drop the title, which isn't a problem. So we'll make Becky big. Let's move Doudrop over here. And Mia Yim. We could maybe move Doudrop. Over to SmackDown. There we go. Messed that up a little bit. Move the men jobbers out the way. There we go. And then move Dana over there. Okay, so... that's better. Right, we've got... So we've got that. And then over here... Is it Bianca still, do you think? Do you think Bianca will be the big female star? Could be. Could be Bianca. I mean, they could be pulling that trigger with Liv. I think Liv's ready. I think Liv's got the support of people, and I think Liv's ready. I'm not necessarily saying that these are, well, that's your big star, because, I mean, obviously you've got Brock. I mean, Brock's not going to be around all that much. You could easily switch that to Roman. And have Roman there, and then... I've lost Brock. Is that Brock? Pop Brock there. Yeah, there's other stars that are around. I'm just kind of saying that these are definitely focus points. These are definitely people that the division is heavily, heavily focused on. Yeah, I don't mind that, I really don't mind that. Let me know. I mean, is there what you would change or what you think? As we said, this is, reminder, this is a bit of what we think could happen. compared with what I would like to happen. The reason why I'm doing it that way and I'm not just predicting what they would do is it would be impossible to predict what they would do. To be honest, I don't think I'd be able to predict what they could do. Instead, I think doing it the way that we've done it, whereby we go superstar by superstar and we make an argument as to why we're putting them on Raw or why we're putting them on SmackDown. And very much my thinking, if you have just joined us, is putting a lot of the bigger guys over to SmackDown. Your Drews, your Brocks, your Bobbies, your Sheamuses, your Damien Priests, Roman Reigns. Like, you've got them on SmackDown. Moving some of the smaller guys a little bit over to Raw, but creating this really interesting main event scene over here. I mean, honestly, you've got Big E as champion, but, I mean, any of these could really get that championship title. So, really looking at that. Then when we're looking at the mid-card, I've been going with, like, some of the gimmicks. So, like, Nakamura, Happy Corbin, Elias, Apollo. Put in the gimmicks Miz because he's got Miz TV. He needs to be over there. You could maybe move Cesaro over to SmackDown. Definitely make the argument that he fits a bit better over here. But I don't mind a bit of wrestling over on Raw. Someone, we've got AJ over there. So Cesaro over there as well. I don't mind that. So, we've got like a really interesting main event scene. We've got quite a gimmick-heavy mid-card scene. Obviously, we've got the jobbers as well, like the male jobbers, if you will, for the 24/7, which is sure to live on Raw. And then the big talking point with the Raw Women's division for Raw is we've gone with the 4 horsewomen. And we've spoken quite a bit at length as to why we've done that and the things that we could do with them if we did put them all on the same brand. What I like, though, is that when you look over on SmackDown, that women's division doesn't feel weak at all. I mean, Bianca feels like a big star. Alexa, when she comes back, brilliant. Asuka, definitely big star. Naomi, feels like we're doing stuff with Naomi now. Liv, definitely feels like we're doing stuff with Liv. I also really, really like, let's move Nia. I really like them 4 together at the bottom and doing like a Mean Girls thing. I really am into that idea. So, you've got like a Mean Girls group with those 4 at the bottom. So I'm kind of into that. I think that's just going to allow the likes of Dakota Kai, Toni Storm, Liv Morgan, Naomi. It's just going to give them room to breathe and room to grow and room to show what they can do. So I'm kind of into that. And then bigger guys in that main event scene. And then just like a really athletic but really interesting mid-card. I mean, Jaxson Ryker, good size. Might not be someone that gets the pulses racing, but if we invested in him and gave him a good character and, we could do some stuff there. John Morrison, moved him away from The Miz, which I don't mind. I think those two, they've had they're done. They're done. I don't need any more Miz and Morrison. I've really not enjoyed their segments together since Morrison came back. I'd like to see them do some stuff with him now. Sami Zayn, I think, sits on SmackDown. Austin Theory in that mid-card's great. Damien Priest is just waiting to just get a bit more experience, and then we could really look at moving him up there and getting him right up there and having that be a match for the future. I can definitely see them two facing off in the future. I think they're high on him. I think they're really high on Damien Priest. Edge, of course, legend. Sheamus, Ricochet as well. Just gets Ricochet a bit more into that kind of mid-card. Tag divisions, we haven't really focused on that much because WWE don't really focus on them either, so I don't really see why we should bother. But Street Profits being on SmackDown so that they can be with Bianca, obviously. But as someone said earlier, Street Profits and Bianca versus Naomi and the Usos. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that all day long. And then we do have some tag teams, but Garza and Humberto, I think, could be kind of fun together. I don't mind that. The Mansoor Ali doesn't really do it for me. I'm not really feeling it. I think with Ali, when he was doing like the hacker retribution stuff, as cringe as it turned out to be, it was interesting. When it turned out Ali was the hacker, I think that was really, really interesting. And that was probably the most people were into Ali. So I'm not saying that he needs to go and do that, but something like that wouldn't hurt. Because whatever this is, him and Mansoor, whatever that's meant to be, just hasn't worked yet. The other thing as well is we do still have Retribution, who could end up splitting. And don't forget, we have got a bit of a sleeper. Look at that. I mean, that, honestly, you might look at it and go, nah, I'm not feeling it. But that's because they've absolutely destroyed Dominik Dijakovic. That is Dominik Dijakovic. Dominik Dijakovic, who in NXT had killer matches with Keith Lee. If you never saw Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee, you need to go and check them out, because those matches were absolutely insane. They were absolutely brilliant. They were before the pandemic, and he is a fantastic wrestler. T-Bar is legit. Like, T-Bar, if they split these two up, then provides a bit of fun. I really like that. I like the fact he provides a bit of fun to this. Because you could look at that and say it's lacking a little bit of humour now that, like, Happy Corbin's gone. But you got Sammy. Sammy's funny. Cameron Grimes would be funny. Those two would have some really good interactions, actually. Sammy and Cameron Grimes. I think they would have some really fun interactions. I'd definitely love to see some stuff there. So, yeah, thoughts? Chuck in your thoughts. What are you... little bit of lag. I think it should be all right. Let me have a little look. All goods. We've had green light all throughout, so I don't know. Hopefully just momentarily. I want to see, Frankie... Right, we'll do 10 minutes. 10 minutes of your thoughts. That's what we're going to do to wrap this out. Obviously, we've got a wrestling escape pod coming up. So we'll do 10 minutes of your thoughts. Ember is stuck behind Becky. She was as well. Ta-da! There she is. You're right. Alright, there we go. Where do we put her? Pop her there. Right. I feel like Toni Storm needs to go to Raw because I feel WWE will put her in a team with Liv, and that might hurt her push. Interesting. My thoughts are that Shane Thorne is missing. They don't have Shane Thorne. They've only got Slapjack. And he's not doing that anymore. He's doing this kind of... We spoke about it at the start. He's this kind of outback kind of guy who honestly could just go to SmackDown. I mean, he could go to SmackDown and be a little bit of a jobber over there. I mean, I hate to say that, but we probably do need someone over there that could take some pins. So Shane Thorne could go and do that. Xia Li to SmackDown. Ember Moon to SmackDown. LA Knight to Raw. We went with LA Knight to Raw. Xia Li, I don't know if she's out injured at the moment. We didn't see her the other day. So I don't actually know where she is. We did see that Tian Sha, but there was no Xia Li, unfortunately. Ember Moon to SmackDown. You could put Ember Moon on SmackDown. Yeah. It's funny, actually. You've named some people there that we have already called up. We've got, you mentioned LA Knight. He's here. There's LA Knight. So you mentioned LA Knight. We've called him up. We've put him on Raw. And I agree with you. I think Ember Moon. Right there. Ember Moon gets called up as well. I don't think she's needed in NXT. I don't think she adds anything to NXT. But I think she could come back to the main roster and do a good job. So she's on Raw as well. I think she's a face that brings a little bit of experience. So, you know, she's just there like Ember with Rhea. And I like Ember, Rhea, Nikki, and one more. I don't know who it would be. Maybe Mia. Ember, Nikki, Rhea, and Mia could all team together to take down the 4 Horsewomen. I'm not moving from this 4 Horsewomen dream that I've got. William said, at the end of the day, I'm all about boobs. Boob this, boob that, says William. Thank you for letting us know, William. Harley said, imagine if they turned Ziggler face like he was in 2014, 2015, and he feuds with a heel Roman. That feud and those matches would be excellent. Not the stupid dirty dogs. Virginia said, this is from London Askew. Virginia, shout out to you. Big shout out to London as well, London Askew. I hope you are all well and excited for this weekend and the draft that's coming up. I know it's definitely captured people's imaginations, and there's a lot of excitement out there. So definitely some food for thought following our little stream today. As we said, we're around for another 5-10 minutes or so, and just getting in a final few thoughts. So Virginia, shout out to you. Hope you are well. As long as Doudrop, Eva, Nia, and Baszler go to SmackDown or NXT or get let go, then I'm fine, says Julie. James said, where is the United States champion? I've done it, and again, just a reminder, it's a little bit of a mixture of what we would do mixed with what they might do. I've actually switched the United States champion, who is here, Damien Priest. I've actually switched him with Nakamura, who's over here. Oh, that's probably the better way to go. There we go. So I've switched him with Nakamura. So the reason why I did that is because they have done that before, where the belts have actually switched brands. So there's nothing saying that the US title has to be on Raw or that the Intercontinental has to be on SmackDown. The reason why I've done that is it just feels like Nakamura he's interesting, but he's a little bit sports entertainment. This King gimmick is a little bit sports entertainment, and I kind of think that he over on Raw makes sense to me with him doing like the King stuff. I kind of it kind of sits a bit better on Raw rather than SmackDown. SmackDown, I mean, like, maybe people think I'm wrong and I'm miles out, but I really do see Raw as being kind of like sports entertainment, family-friendly, that kind of stuff. I know they're trying to change it a little bit now they're going up against the football, but I do see Raw as being that way. And then SmackDown, I just see as being more sports-based. I mean, you know, they've got Pat's McCarthy on commentary, who used to be in the NFL. So you know, they've got him over there. It's the brand that's got Brock, and it's obviously the brand that's got like Roman as well, who you could argue is the biggest star. So you kind of look at what SmackDown's doing, and the fact that you know, it's on Fox, and I think they want a very sporty kind of a feel. I don't think they're after like the gimmick stuff. It's kind of why I think Bray and Wyatt and Fiend was on SmackDown, and he ended up moving to Raw. So I don't know. There's just a few little things like that I look at and think, you know, I think that SmackDown is it's where Sheamus fits. It's where Bobby Lashley fits. It's where Edge fits. It's where Roman fits. It's kind of where, you know, Asuka fits really. Asuka fits really well on SmackDown. I mean, she's great. She can work on Raw as well. But I think I look at Raw and I go, King Nakamura, Happy Corbin, Commander Aziz. They kind of fit. They seem to fit a bit better over on Raw for me. What do you think will happen to Bray? I think Bray will go to AEW. I think that clearly it doesn't look like he's getting out of that 90-day thing. I just think we've got to wait. Just got to wait for Full Gear. He is getting a huge push on Raw. Where is Boogs? Boogs. I don't think there's an image for Boogs, to be honest, is there? Rick Boogs. Riddick Moss. No, he's not under Arthur Rick. He might actually be missing on the WWE Superstars page. Let's go to Boogs. See if he's under Boogs. Brock, Boa, Lashley. Nope. She's not there. All of these images are just from the WWE. If you go to WWE website, go to Superstars, all of these images are just off there. And Rick Boogs, for whatever reason, I can't see him on there. So he would be next to Nakamura. And I think he fits well over on Raw. Bliss on SmackDown. Yeah, because when she comes back, I don't think she'll be that gimmick. She's gone away for a while, a good few months apparently, to have sinus surgery. So kind of think that if she is having her sinuses, like the surgery done on that, like the reports are she's out for a while. And I think when she comes back, I'm not expecting, could be wrong, and if I am wrong, she could come back to Raw, but I'm expecting it to be more along the lines of the Goddess when she comes back. I think, they ripped up Lily, and if you think a lot of that feud, if you think now that we know that Alexa is out of the way for a few months, right? She's definitely not around for a while. Think about what they did towards the end of this run for her. They had Charlotte talk about how she used to be a competitor. They had Charlotte talk about Alexa and how Charlotte misses her being the competitor that she used to be. We had Lily being ripped apart. We had Alexa with the mother of all meltdowns. Like, a lot of things are pointing towards them moving away from the playground and Lily and all of that kind of stuff. I really, it could just be me hoping, but I really think that they are moving away from all of that. And I think that when she comes back, she'll come back a little bit more along the lines of the Goddess. And I would move her on to SmackDown. I think her experience, she's a great wrestler. Never had anything bad about Alexa. Like her as a wrestler. I think she's a good wrestler. I think she's a good promo. And I think that her experience over on SmackDown could be really interesting. I don't know if she comes back as a face. I don't know if she comes back as a heel. If she came back as a heel, then you could do those matches of Alexa and Bianca, which could be quite interesting as they battle for the title. You could obviously do like Alexa and Liv, which I think would be really... I'd love that match, actually. I've never really thought about them two, but imagine them two. Imagine that as a match. Imagine that as a match. Certainly if she's going to come back as the Goddess. I think that would be really interesting. I think that would be really, really interesting. If she came back as the Goddess, but was still a bit of a heel. That could be fun. I would have Toni Storm be a face. I'd have Naomi as a face. Nia Jax has got to be a heel. Dakota, you could have as a... I don't know what you'd do with Dakota. Asuka, I would have as a face. I think Asuka, for me, is kind of... here, she would be the second face. So, you've got Bianca as the main face, and then you'd have Asuka as the face just below. I kind of like that. And then you've got Liv, who's just around trying to get the title from whoever the big heel would be. So Alexa would be a big heel. Nia Jax would be a big heel. You've got a lot of heels down here as well with Zelina, Carmella. Carmella would be a big heel. As I said, you've got these kind of four as a little female group, which I kind of like. I really like the look of, like a Mean Girls kind of a thing. Them four together, because I think when she comes up, because there's rumors that she will, Aaliyah. I think when Aaliyah comes up, I really wouldn't be having her on her own. I wouldn't be having her on her own, even if you just put her with Eva and just have them two together. Being Mean Girls, I would go that way. But I really like the idea of Carmella. Carmella could be the leader of this group. You could have Carmella trying to re-establish herself as being, and then have these three just underneath kind of working for her. Could be very, very interesting if you went that way. And then that would lead to like Carmella and Bianca, Carmella and Liv, Carmella and Naomi, Carmella and Toni Storm, Carmella and Asuka. You could do Carmella and Asuka. Have them two going on it. I think there's definitely some stories that you can tell with this. And what I love is that it's just giving all these women room to shine. Because you've got none of them horsewomen around that are going to steal up that spotlight. Because they do. I mean, there's no denying it. Sasha, Becky, Charlotte. I mean, when they're on, they just take the screen time. But at least this way, these women that are on SmackDown have got a good opportunity to get some of that screen time. Because the problem is on SmackDown, there isn't going to be much screen time for the women. It'd be good if they do keep them having like 2 feuds going. So a title... whoever goes for the title, and then a secondary feud. That would be good. But most of the time, it's just going to be the title that they'll be feuding for, because obviously SmackDown's only 2 hours long, and the first promo and first match tends to take up a quarter of the show. Before we've even got anywhere, 30 minutes have gone. So, does anyone think commentary teams could change? If Bliss isn't going to be like that, I agree. But if not, for horsewomen on SmackDown, I do think she might come back darker and then slowly become the goddess. Wasn't enough to just go back. Program for Damage. Shout out to you, buddy. Shout out to you. Are you going to start an hour earlier than usual for the draft like you did last year? We might start a touch earlier tomorrow. We always start an hour before the show. I mean, I suppose in a way... I've not been able to get into the chat as much as I wanted tonight. Just because normally, to be honest, when I'm doing a stream like this, I normally would have the chat on screen. But because of all the images, we've never actually done a stream like this before. And because of all of these images, I've not been able to get the chat on screen. So I haven't been seeing the chat as much. So I think there's a good chance that, yeah, we'll start. I don't know if it'll be another hour before, because we always start an hour before anyway. But I could see us starting even earlier than that. So, yeah, keep an eye out tomorrow. There's a good chance that we will start a bit earlier. Where's Drake? Drake is kind of floating between NXT and the main roster. We have seen him, or we did see him in NXT. I'm just trying to think, though. Since NXT 2.0 came along, I suppose we haven't been seeing much of him, have we? We haven't seen him in NXT 2.0. I can grab him. I left him out because I was like, I don't know if he is going to be on. I don't know if he's going to be on this roster or not. I mean, to be honest, he just kind of fills up. He just goes to Raw, doesn't he? I mean, I can bring him in. It's not a problem. But if I do, I think he just sits on Raw. I left him out because I know that he has been on NXT. There he is. But he would just sit down there. I do worry that Raw maybe has got a touch too much, but it is a third longer. Do you know what I mean? So they need like a third more superstars. So maybe it's got a little bit more, maybe you could make an argument for moving a couple of people over. I don't think it'd be many. You'd probably be talking a couple. I mean, maybe you would move like the Viking Raiders over or something. Maybe they could do some interesting stuff over there. I wouldn't move Otis, as we said, because I think he's a big guy that honestly could move to that kind of mid-card. You could have Otis in here. You could have Otis in that mid-card. Obviously, you can have Kofi in there. I think a lot of people are interested. Will they do something with Xavier Woods? Because Xavier Woods is the only New Day member to not win the title. I think you could get him to the mid-card. I think you could get him to the mid-card title. I mean, honestly, that is something that I'm not against them booking. I'm not against that. I think that could actually be quite interesting. I don't know. Has he held a mid-card belt? I think people would love to see Xavier get a mid-card title. I think people would love to see that. So that could be really interesting. So, yeah, I'm not against that at all, actually. I'm not against that at all. Anyway, I need to call it quits. Because I've got to go and set up Wrestling Escape Pods, which we're going to go and do in 10 minutes' time. So a massive thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. I said that this was going to be a headache, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. We actually managed to get through all of these superstars and move them around a lot quicker than what I was anticipating. Like, I thought there was going to be, like, loads and loads and loads, and then I was amazed when we managed to get through them. And, yeah, as I said, take it as this being not what we're thinking is going to happen. I'm just putting out, like, kind of what... It's not out of the realms of what they could do, but there is definitely a good chunk of what I would do in there and reasons as to why I would do it. So, yeah, don't get too hung up on like, oh, they won't do that, they won't do this. It's not really that way. I mean, it'd be impossible for me to sit here and predict exactly everything that they're going to do. It was never really that. It was more just, I think, do this, do that. Reason why I would do it. Kind of get, a few thoughts out there and get some of your thoughts as well. As I said, maybe I didn't get a chance to get your thoughts as much as what I would have liked, as much as we normally would, but we absolutely will tomorrow. I mean, obviously, we'll have the usual setup, so... make sure that you're joining us tomorrow for that SmackDown watch-along. Even if you don't want to join us while SmackDown's on, we will be live, I would say probably an hour and a half before, maybe an hour and a half before SmackDown starts. We will be like really going through thoughts and theories. And what's been really useful is now that we've done this, it gives me a much better... I've got in my mind now what I would like and what I would be looking for. And some of the feuds that I would like to see in the future. And honestly, if we was to do another hour, more and more like would show themselves, like that Xavier and Nakamura mid-card match. Like, if we was to sit around and really dig into this, I think more and more feuds would really start to come forward. So, yeah, shame that we haven't got more time, to be honest, but I didn't expect it to go this smoothly. So a big thank you for that. Really do appreciate it. So awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. As we said, we're back again tomorrow for the SmackDown watch along. And I'm back in about 10-15 minutes time for the Wrestling Escape Pod over on the Wrestling Escape Pod channel. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.